Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new chapter of Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another chapter, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review over on your favorite podcast app or become a patron over at patreon.com/oldmanbrad. So this week I'm back with some more public domain horror because they are just coming in, left and right. Public domain horror, and I'm having a blast with it. I've talked multiple Steamboat Willie films. I've talked the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey films. I'm eating this stuff up, guys, honestly, and having a blast doing it. This week we're going to talk about Popeye. Popeye is going to enter the public domain horror chat, and we're going to talk about Popeye the Slayer Man. This isn't the first Popeye movie. I haven't seen the other Popeye movie. I think it's like Popeye's Revenge or something like that. I haven't seen that one. Haven't heard good things, though. But we're going to talk about that film. We're going to talk Popeye the Slayer Man, and I have an interview with one of the stars of the movie, Elena Juliano. But before we dig into that, if you're in the Cincinnati area, come out to Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month. We just finished a screening with April Fool's Day this past week, but our screening for April 18th at 10 p.m., we are going to have the 4K restoration of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. I am super, super excited to see this version of the movie up on the big screen. I want to see how well it was restored and just how beautiful it will look, because I know that blood's going to be nice and red and those kills are just going to be great. But come out, let's watch a movie together. All right, let's dive into Popeye the Slayer Man.
What the hell is all this stuff for?
It's the equipment I checked out for my documentary.
Oh, is this that pirate man thing you were going on about in class?
Sailor man. Tonight's the last night we can get inside.
They're, aware of the charming stories circulating about this place.
I don't believe in ghost stories.
He's not a ghost. The Sailor Man is real. He doesn't take kindly to visitors stopping at his doorstep.
If she's just doing some school project, then why won't she just pick the phone up?
Oh yeah? What should I do?
She said they're going to be at the old candy factory, right? Let's go down there.
A curious group of friends sneak into an abandoned spinach canning factory to investigate the legend of the Sailor Man, who is said to haunt the factory and local docks. This is directed by Robert Michael Ryan, and it stars Elena Juliano, Angela Reluccio, Jason Robert Stevens, Sarah Nicklin, and many others. It hit theaters on March 21st and is also available on VOD, playing in a theater near you. Go check it out. I'm going to give some short thoughts, and then we'll dive in the interview, and I'll give a few more thoughts after that. I don't want to give too much up front here. I'm just going to say, you know what? I had fun with this movie. As the movie says, as Popeye's big line, I am what I am. This movie knows what it is. It just rolls with it. It has a good time. Just go in for a good time and you'll have a blast. Like if you like any of these other public domain horror films, you're going to enjoy Popeye the Slayer Man. Trust me. But I'll dive a little more into that, spoiler-free, of course, after our interview. So I want to get to my chat with Elena. So check that out, and I will talk to you on the other side. My guest today has been in such projects as #FemClap, I Did, and My Friends Play. Her new film, she goes up against the legend of the Sailor Man in Popeye the Slayer Man, which is out now everywhere. I want to welcome in Elena Juliano. How you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
So what got you involved with Popeye the Slayer Man?
Gosh, it's just boring. I auditioned for the film. It was kind of one of those very typical, audition, get the role kind of thing. Usually it doesn't work that way, I feel like these days. But yeah, my agent sent me in. I sent in a tape and they cast me.
Now, did you, when you were setting up, the audition for it, did you Popeye the Slayer Man? I don't know if it was listed as that when you sent in the audition or...
it was not listed. They were keeping it on the down low.
Okay.
What it really was. I did know it was a horror film. One of the scenes that I auditioned with is in the film. So it was actual material from the film, but we didn't know that it was Popeye when we were auditioning.
Now, like one of the first times you saw Jason Robert Stevens in costume as Popeye, the big forearms and the jowls and everything, was it kind of intimidating in a way, or how was that when you first were on set with him?
It was honestly pretty crazy because he himself as a person is so fit and so large in like the best way possible. Like he just looks like Popeye in real life. Truly like a horror version of Popeye, like this very strong guy. He was like perfect in this role. And so I was like, how are they going to make him look more terrifying? Like he already comes across like really intense in the best way, but they really added like these small touches that just really made Popeye feel like this horror character as opposed to just like super strong. You know, it felt more menacing for sure. And the location we were shooting in, all the lighting was super. What you see on the screen is kind of how that lighting in that facility is anyway. So he would kind of creep in and out of corners and stuff and like not meaning to be creepy and scary, but he would end up scaring us. So it was kind of a cool, I don't know, first meeting of Popeye, so to speak.
Were there any scenes when you were filming that it was kind of like an on purpose in the shadows you had no idea so they could get that natural like scare from you?
Yeah, they didn't. We didn't really have an opportunity to do quite that, but
Okay.
I think just the way that the lighting actually was, and they kept everything like very practical. They added some really like useful lighting in really tasteful spots, but mostly it was very natural. So it was like quite a dark space we were working with. So naturally the movement, I wouldn't quite know what he was doing sometimes. So that would be sort of the surprise element. I did know he would be in the scene with me. But yeah, sometimes there were movement things that I didn't know he would be doing that were more terrifying, more spontaneous.
And your character, for anyone listening, there are some spoilers in the film. We're not going to give away any spoilers about your character, about things that happen in the movie. Can you kind of speak a little bit about your character in the film without, giving too much away?
Sure. So Olivia is kind of an outsider in this group of friends. So the person that really brings all these friends together to explore the factory down by the docks is Dexter, and I meet Dexter, and he's very interested in this old ghost story about the sailor man who lives in this abandoned factory. And Dexter wants to do this documentary film for his school project. And I kind of tag along. So Olivia is, she's not as established in this friend group. She's definitely got some mystery to her. We don't really know why she's there, why she's interested in going down to the docks. So you'll have to watch and find that out. But I would say that she's definitely more of the mysterious one of the group.
Now, where were the factory down by the dock? Where was this filmed? Was it filmed on location?
Yes, yeah. So it wasn't filmed down by the docks.
Okay.
It wasn't filmed by water. So we kind of spliced that up a little bit.
Moving magic.
Moving magic, exactly. But the factory was very much real. So the outside shots of the factory is the factory we shot in. So it is this actual live active feed factory that is in Oneonta, New York, where we shot this film. Yeah, so the people who own the factory gave us full reign of it. Basically, we did all overnight shoots, so we got to use it all on the overnights, and then they would still work during the day when we weren't shooting. So it was, an active working factory with, real product.
Now, during the day, obviously you're resting, but did you get a chance, with your co-stars to kind of get together to kind of plan out some of this little friend group of what we're going to do when we get to the factory and other things beforehand?
Yeah, definitely. I think we did have some time to kind of get to know each other and get that chemistry going. I would say mostly, our director, Robert, he really, spearheaded those scenes, what he wanted for all the friends to, like that kind of vibe, what he wanted on set. So we really spoke with him about it beforehand, but we all collaborated really well together. Felt like friends.
Now, let me ask you, did you know much just in general about Popeye itself before you kind of started doing this?
I knew of Popeye, of course. It's such a classic character in our culture, but I really never watched it as a kid. I was more of like a Bugs Bunny kind of kid. That's what my dad watched more, so I feel like I was introduced to that character more. Yeah, it's been great to like get to know this really beloved character and all Olive Oil and like Wimpy and all the, side characters. It's a cool world. Right
now, there's this, we have the Winnie the Poohs, the Mickey Mouse, all these different things coming in. Now we're getting Popeyes. What are your thoughts of this whole kind of it's almost like a sub genre of horror movies? And now you're part of it, obviously. What do you think of this whole new world that's kind of coming out?
I hadn't really heard of it, actually, to be honest, before I auditioned for this, and then eventually found out about the Popeye, about it being Popeye. I had heard inklings of the Winnie the Pooh one, the Blood and Honey, because I guess that was the first one that came along. So I had heard about it a little bit through that, but I hadn't even seen it. I think it's so fun. I think it's really, I don't know, I think if people are open to this kind of subgenre of horror, I think it can be really fun to like encapsulate these characters and bring them into a different world and just, like not take it too seriously. I don't know. I think it can really like be a fun throwback to all of our favorite, nostalgic characters that we've loved.
Now, are you a fan of horror movies?
I would say I appreciate horror films. I wouldn't say I'm like a, horror buff or anything, but I have seen a lot of horror films that I really have enjoyed. That are some of my favorite films. Your character for the movie, were there any inspirations for your character as you were preparing to be Olivia in this film? There were. I guess I can't quite divulge necessarily.
Fair enough.
But in terms of like actors and stuff, yeah, there are actors that I aspire to be like. I don't think I could have used quite what they've done. I don't know, every character is so unique and different and just very much live in that world. Your approach to this one, because it's a horror movie, Popeye the Slayer Man, it's Popeye coming after people. Is there anything you did to kind of prepare for the role? Yeah, I watched more horror films than I think I would have normally.
Okay.
Just get a feel of, sort of the world that you're acting in, because it's not going to be delivered like a comedy necessarily, like a sitcom. It's a totally different world, and they all have different approaches and feels. Yeah, and there's just sort of a tone that is unspoken that you kind of have to agree to when you're like acting in something. I would say, well, I did watch Blood and Honey before I did the Popeye film, just to kind of get a sense of what this subgenre is like. Mm-hmm. And that was really informative. It was really helpful to just, get a sense of the acting and the tone and everything, and like have it be convincing. Any others that you kind of, as you were, studying up to be in a kind of a slasher horror movie that kind of stood out to you of like, oh yeah, I like that? Well, I would say like, I know that, so the director had really, communicated that he wanted the performances to still feel really grounded, mm-hmm. even though we are in this, slasher horror world. He still really wanted a very real feeling from all of us. And I feel like some of the performances in horror films that have stuck out to me as like, this lives in the world of like grounded, but also like we acknowledge what's going on here. I felt like I don't know, Florence Pugh in Midsommar was like a big one for me. She's really like captivating in that, where you're like, she is terrified. She's absolutely like, there are some moments where she is just, there's some like really terrifying scenes in that movie, yet it's still super grounded.
Yeah.
It has that like really nice balance. So yeah.
Were there any scenes for you that you truly like scared you that happened?
Yes. But I don't want to say which one it is, but there was one literally when I was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't see that filmed. Like, because some of them I saw as they were filming them. I saw some of the kills and stuff, but some of them I didn't get a chance to see the behind the scenes, so I didn't know how it worked. And then when I saw it on screen, I was like, actually, like, that's horrifying. That is so disgusting. So there were definitely some that really shocked me, for sure. That in like the best way, in such a good way, where it was like, well done. That's very good.
there were a lot in it. I was like, oh, I like what you did here, and like they kind of know what it was and what they had, and just went with it.
Yeah, there were some like full circle moments where I liked that there were like just these little throwbacks and things that just like kind of really brought it together, even in some of the kills and stuff. It just, yeah. I
want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me. And where can people kind of follow along to you to see what Popeye, it's out now everywhere. Go check it out in select theaters and on VOD, and what you might have coming in the future.
Yeah, I would say you can follow me on Instagram. My handle is Elena Juliano. Sometimes I post about stuff there, but also IMDb page and stuff, and trying to be a little bit more social media savvy because I feel like that's where people post about these things these days. But yeah, please check out our film. It's good. I believe it's showing on Amazon and Apple and VOD and in regional theaters. So if it's playing near you, please go see it, because live theater is so important and fun. And I feel like I really enjoyed watching the film in a theater.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can't copy that at home. 100%.
Yeah, not 100%.
Best of luck with this one and whatever, comes next. If you have more horror, maybe we'll get you back on to chat more horror. And that'd
be great. I would love to do more. It was so fun.
I want to thank Elena for taking time out of her day to chat with me about Popeye. Maybe we'll get more Popeyes. I don't know. I think this one would be a fun one to get a sequel to. So this film, like I said, it knows what it is. There are some good kills in it. I mean, you get limbs ripped off, you get heads squished, there's some blood, there's a couple kills that are kind of surprising. It doesn't skimp on the blood too much. It is cheesy. It has some nice Easter eggs in it. Like if you're familiar with the Popeye cartoon, Popeye story, and stuff like that, there are some Easter eggs throughout the movie that you'll kind of see of, oh, this is a little nod to the cartoon, or this is a nod to the cartoon, which were kind of fun. This movie isn't going to like blow you away with, oh my gosh, this is like the best movie ever. Like in the interview, Elena was talking about how they wanted to make it more grounded, which they do. And it's over the top, but still mostly grounded in reality. There are a few things that kind of go a little above that, but for the most part, it is. She talked about the factory and the lighting, and that is one of the things I really liked was the use of shadows, how Popeye was kind of in the dark and just kind of came out of the shadows, went after these people to seek his revenge for, I'm not going to give it away, everything that happens. I would recommend this movie if you enjoy the public domain horror films of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. If you love the Steamboat Willie films like Mousetrap, I Heart Willie, Mouse of Horrors, any of those, you're going to have fun with this one. It doesn't set itself far beyond those other ones. It just kind of fits in the mix with what we've gotten with these horror films so far that have come out. And nothing has happened to make me want to stop watching them. I'm enjoying these movies that are getting released. They're entertaining me for their, 70, 80, 90-minute runtime, however long they are. So keep giving me public domain horror. I will keep watching them until the wheels fall off and they just go on this run of awfulness. But you know what? It's me. I'll probably still watch them anyways. So nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to watch it. Go check out Popeye the Slayer Man. It's available everywhere right now, and have yourself a good time. So, of course, on my way out, I like to do a double feature with the movie that I'm featuring in my review. The easy way to go is obviously a public domain horror film. Picking Winnie the Pooh, picking one of the Steamboat Willie films. I am going to pick one that is in the public domain, but it's not based off of a cartoon or anything like that. It is based on a puppet show, stories from the past, and that is Punch from 2023. I did an episode on Punch back when it came out and talked to the director, Andy Edwards. Had a great interview with him, but this is one that I own on Blu-ray. You can stream it on Vudu for free. If you have Amazon Prime, it's on there. Or if you have access to Hoopla through your library, you can check it out and watch it there. Go check out Punch. It's based off the Judy and Punch puppets, and it turned it into this slasher with this character that wears a mask that looks like Mr. Punch, the puppet. And he even has the voice. If you go back and watch any old videos of the Judy and Punch show, they do the similar voice with that. And I really like it. I rewatched it recently, still enjoy it. May Kelly has a brief scene in it. Popeye the Slayer Man, Punch. Go have yourself a good public domain horror night. You can go add a whole lot more to that if you want. So before we go, I want to tell you about Tulsa King. The Boss is back in season 2 of the hit series Tulsa King, starring 3-time Oscar nominee Sylvester Stallone. Get a fresh look behind the scenes with 2 exclusive featurettes, including Stallone's tribute to fellow cast and crew and the creative process for writing dynamic storylines. Own Tulsa King season 2 on DVD and Blu-ray now. I'm trying to figure out how to do a giveaway. I have Blu-rays for season 2 of Tulsa King, but just keep it right here at Old Man Brad. Figure out a way to give some of those away. That will do it for this chapter of Old Man Brad. If you love the show, just make sure you subscribe. You'll never miss any chapter or any of my series, Tales from Tubi, or the new series that started last week, Versus, where we talk April Fool's Day. I have more lined up for you, but just subscribe and you'll never miss any of that. I will be back soon. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.